Hello, my friends. How are you? It's Amar. Happy whatever day it is that you're watching this. These days, for me to even try and pretend like I know what day it is, what time it is, etc. No, it's all a myth. I don't know. I'm here and this is where I am, and I'm happy to see you. I have another field transmission for you. Today, the field of reorientation stepped forward. It's actually been knocking at the door for a couple of days, and I have vowed to be more responsive when I get the nugget, when I get the little breadcrumb that drops in and says, "Hey, sit down and record something." So I'm going to be better about that. But today I did sit down and channeled a brief message from the real field of reorientation. And it reminds me of this message that my guides shared with me years ago. And this is one of the messages in my book, Notes from the Higher Self by me, Amar, available on Amazon. I know Amazon is like not the place I want to be, but until I can self-publish somewhere else, it's on Amazon now. And the message was reorientation through disorientation. The idea being that sometimes by design, the easiest thing to do is to disorient us from our normal expected experience so that we have no choice to give in to the intuitive, deeper currents that are always moving us forward, upward, and outward. It kind of reminds me of when I was a kid. And my mom, every once in a while, every few months, she would rearrange the furniture. And I loved it when she did it. It was like I would wake up and the living room would suddenly be totally different. Everything was in a new place. My paths and my current, my normal little routines that I would make my way from my bedroom into the kitchen or the living room or whatever, they would be disrupted because now there's a sofa in the way or a footstool or whatever. And I loved that because it activated something within me that was like, ooh, a new adventure, a new track, a new map to follow. So I offer the field of reorientation in service of your unfolding as always, and I really hope that you are able to find a deeper sense of connection to that intuitive pulse, those currents and those rhythms that are beyond the mind, that are beyond the requirement of intellectual understanding. And when we can just take a breath, drop in, and allow ourselves to be held, carried, and guided by the beings that we are, by the expansive consciousness that we are, by the force of life and creation and freedom and expansion. When we can allow ourselves to be driven by that energy, it requires so much less effort. It's not about trying to figure it out or understand it or predict what's coming and hypervigilance and oh my God, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And isn't it intense enough right now with adding like trying to figure it all out to our to-do list too? I talked about this in a recent newsletter that for me, I find myself less and less interested in the intellectual comprehension of something, which, my chart is pretty much all Virgo and all Libra. It's a whole lot of Mercury and a whole lot of air energy. So for me, there is this predisposition to wanting to know, wanting to understand. The path of the intellect is one that I have found great satisfaction and fulfillment upon. And at some point, we are called to move into something that is deeper. It's just closing your eyes, taking a breath, and saying, "All right, Spirit, my hands are off the wheel. I trust you. Thy will be done. And wake me up when we're there." I love you. Thanks for watching. Bye. The field of reorientation. You are not lost. You have simply entered a moment in space and time that you have not consciously explored before. The reorientation that is occurring at this moment is aligning you with the trajectory of your soul's choice. The field of reorientation invites a deeper sense of faith and trust. Trust in your divinity, trust in your knowing of what is the correct choice and when it is time to make it. It invites you to deepen your faith in the divine orchestration, remembering that sometimes you are the piece being moved on the board, and sometimes you are the one who is moving the piece across the board. Either way, you are always moving towards the experience that you have chosen from your higher level of awareness. Reorientation asks you to momentarily suspend your requirement for intellectual understanding. It reminds you that when you take an experience that is new, that is expansive, and that is beyond your lived experience, your lived history, that to try and force it to fit into the parameters offered by the mind is to greatly minimize the potential and possibility that is present within the new experience. Visualize, if you will, a pin on a map. This pin has been your location, it has been your orientation. And for quite some time, this pin has told you who you are, where you reside, what is possible, and what that means. You have moved the pin through your requests and your prayers and your intentions for a lighter world, for a brighter world, for an experience of freedom within your earth life. If you are asking for a new experience, something that you have not previously lived before within this lifetime, within the context and the construct of this body, then you must be willing to allow things to be new. The paradox that the mind creates is it thinks that recreating and resurrecting and reactivating the old stories, the old patterns, the old experiences will somehow bring you new, will somehow bring you novel, will somehow bring you beyond the boundaries of your history. This is a false paradox. The mind is the child running on limited experience and information, trying to make sense of something that is currently beyond its comprehension. When you are asking for something new, a higher way, a new path, a new timeline, a more exalted trajectory, it is a requirement that you must surrender the old way. This is quite simple in the objective sense of these words, but for the mind to comprehend it is nearly impossible. The field of reorientation invites you to tap into your deeper layers of awareness, to tap into the deeper parts of yourself that do not require the understanding or approval of the mind, of the small, limited, constructed self, to treat it like the crying baby on your hip, allow it to have its protestations, allow it to have its anger, allow it to have its frustration and its fear, allow it to make the noise and to cry itself out. Hold it close, love it, and continue on with what you were doing before the mind erupted into chaos. You are within a reality that does not require the mind's comprehension to exist. You are at the beginning of a new chapter. You are at the beginning of a new book. Just like when you pick up a book you have not previously read, it is the joy of the discovery, the adventure, the story that is revealing itself to you word by word, line by line, and page by page. The same is true for you now. Do you trust that the universe is benevolent? Do you trust that your creator wants you to thrive? Do you trust that life is here to be lived and is unstoppable? If there is a lack of faith or trust in those forces that you perceive outside of you, that is simply a reflection of a lack of faith or trust within yourself. Reorientation is standing at the top of the water slide, closing your eyes, taking a breath, and jumping. The water slide may feel scary, it may feel terrifying, it may feel thrilling, but there is a very specific track. There is a very specific path, and the slide has already laid that track and that path for you. And at this moment, it is simply a matter of allowing yourself to enjoy the ride. There will come a time in your immediate future where you will begin to create the next length of the track. You will reach a conclusion of this initiatory trigger, which is moving you into the new reality. It is activating the new geometry. And this is the part that has been done on your behalf by your higher aspects. It is still you. It is simply the part of you that can see from the 30,000-foot view perspective. And as soon as you reach the end of that track, and you will know when you have, it will be unmistakable to you, that will be your cue to begin to plan and plot. Where are you going next? What are you building now? What type of ride do you want to experience? Do you want one that is steep and thrilling with curves and dips and loops? Or would you prefer one that is a little easier, a little more of a smooth ride, a little less twist and turn, a little less thrilling? You may have either one. And that is generally dictated by your soul. Some of your souls are thrill seekers. They want the white knuckle experience. They want to feel on the edge of aliveness. Some souls are more relaxed. Some souls are like a lazy river slowly making its way through the landscape and the countryside. One is not better than the other. It is simply a matter of what you prefer. The field of reorientation comes to remind you that you are always creating. And in moments when it feels like the pieces are being moved across the board on your behalf, that is your opportunity to decide how you are going to allow yourself to be moved with faith and trust or with fear and resistance. One is much easier and much more enjoyable than the other. All roads lead to the top of the mountain inevitably, but where you are headed now is a very specific location and frequency in space and time as you continue to ride the upward trajectory, the upward spiral. Allow yourself to be expanded. Allow yourself to be reoriented. Allow your course to be corrected. You are not being moved by some foreign energy or being. It is simply you at a more expanded level of your consciousness.